Hello everyone and welcome back to the finals of the Speed Chess Championship on chess.com. We checked out the game yesterday from the 5+1 section. For those of you who are new to this, it's a competition with 3 time formats. First they play 5 minutes plus 1 second increment, then 3 minutes plus 1 second increment, and lastly 1 minute plus 1 second increment, the so-called bullet, everyone's favorite. And this is one such game from the bullet section. In the Blitz section 5+1, Hikaru ended it by leading with a 1-point margin. Then in a 3+1 section, it was a draw, so no one took the lead there. And now everything has to be settled in the bullet section, and you do not want to be down a point and facing Hikaru in the bullet. But like I said, let's see what happened here. As the title suggests, it's quite the game. So Maxime with the white pieces opens with e4. Sorry about that. We have e5 by Hikaru, and now knight to c3, the Vienna game. We have knight to c6 and now f4, so sort of like the king's gambit, but considered a bit more correct. We have e captures on f4 and knight to f3, and here g5, much like you would see in a king's gambit. So what do you do here? Well, you could play something like h3 to prevent g4, but this is actually what Maxime wants Hikaru to do. He goes bishop to c4, and Hikaru says no problem, g4. And here Maxime just castles. And what do we have here? G captures on f3, so that's the first piece. Queen captures on f3 could be played here, but rather Maxime goes for a different move. Before recapturing, he goes bishop captures on f7. And now this is a completely crazy position. King captures, queen captures on f3, and now comes queen to h4. And this is Hikaru's improvement on this position, because interestingly, as you'll see in the I will put a link in the description below to an article by Peter Dodgers about this whole event, so you can check out what happened in a lot of other games. But basically, the two of them already had this position on the board 4 years ago, also on chess.com, and the game ended very quickly. Hikaru played bishop to h6, and then we have d4, and Hikaru captured it. And now it's completely lost for black. Here, Maxime just played queen h5 check, king g7, and now bishop captures on f4 check, preparing bishop to e5, which pretty much ends the game. So here Hikaru tried to stop it, but Maxime played it, just the same, and it was in this position that Hikaru resigned, because it doesn't matter what you do. For example, if you capture rook to f7, it's just checkmate. So by repeating this, I guess Maxime was hoping that he could get another quick win in the bullet section. However, Hikaru improved with queen to h4. It is one of the engine's favorite moves, so it seems that Hikaru remembers that game very well, and he checked what to do in such a position. So d4 by Maxime, and knight captures on d4. So again, the queen is under attack, but now it's not a problem to capture on d4 because you don't have access to the h5 square. So queen back to d3, and now knight to e6. And the f4 pawn is protected twice, so Hikaru is very safe here. But Maxime grabs that pawn as well. Bishop captures on f4. We have knight captures by Hikaru, and now knight to d5. With a double attack on the knight, of course the queen cannot be captured as the knight is pinned. But here comes the bishop to d6, adding another defender here. And now comes knight captures on f4. And here it's a very interesting position. Hikaru should go king to e8, and then he's just he just has a beautiful position because the knight cannot move. Otherwise, you just get bishop captures on h2, and it will lead to checkmate. So instead of king to e8, which is the absolute best move, Hikaru captured, but now he kind of allows Maxime to get back into the game. Here Maxime played the g3. Again, you cannot move the bishop, and you have to react. Your queen is under attack. So queen g5. And rook captures on f4. We have king to e7, and now queen to d4 with an attack on the rook on h8. So knight to f6, only good move for black, and now comes rook to f5, chasing the black queen away from the defense of the knight here. And while you could do this, then Maxime brings the other rook into the game, and it's a very, very difficult position to play for black. So instead, Hikaru said, all right, we're just gonna play something that makes more sense. We're gonna give up the queen. So queen captures on f5. And now, again, we have a game. Even though black does have material to counter not having a queen, all of his pieces are still undeveloped. So here e captures on f5 and now d5. The pawn is nicely protected by the knight, the bishop can come into the game, and hopefully Hikaru will be able to develop his pieces. So queen e5, check by Maxime, king to f7, and now rook to e1, preparing to harass the king and then pick up the knight. So rook to e8, only good move for black, the knight nicely defends the rook, and now queen captures on c7, and here just bishop to d7, again nicely defending, the knight covers everything here, so it's not a problem. And here we have rook captures on e8. You cannot go pawn grabbing as the rook on e1 is hanging, so here Maxime trades once, we have captures, and only now queen captures on b7. And it's a very, very tricky position to play. Black should be better as he does have two pieces and the rook, but with so little time on the clock and with the king not having any defenses at all, it will be very hard to escape all the checks from the white queen. So here rook to e2, a nice move as it goes after the pawns here, and once you get the light square bishop into the game, it will be very difficult for the white king to escape all the checks. So queen captures on a7, rook captures on c2, and now queen to d4. Defending the b2 pawn, now Maxime has a nice passed a pawn and he wants to just push it to victory. So bishop captures on f5 by Hikaru. He wants to cement this bishop on e4, and then it's just going to be very hard for white to play this, as you'll see. So a4, Maxime starts pushing his passed pawn, and now bishop to e4. And now all sorts of threats are possible here. With h3 taking away the g4 square from Hikaru's knight, but just knight to h5. And here, a very complex position, even if you had a lot of time on the clock. And here, a move like queen to a7 check, followed by queen b8, queen to b6, continuous checking of the black king is what should go for. But here, queen to e5 was played, attacking the knight here, but now it's just, well, not possible for white to get out of checks anymore. Rook to g2 with check, now the g3 pawn is covered, and the knight will easily grab that. So if you go king to h1, just knight captures on g3 with check, and the white king has nowhere to go. You're going to have to give up the queen. So of course Maxime tried running away to the queen side, king f1, but now knight captures on g3 with check. King e1, rook e2 check, and now it was in this position on move 30 that Maxime Vachier Lagrave resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Once you play king to d1, which is the only move, of course bishop to c2 check is coming. You open a discovery towards the white queen, and it's just game over. King to c1, rook captures on e5, and that's it. So really amazing game, a lot of sacrifices, and even though Hikaru knew the absolute best response to the position he already lost to Maxime 4 years ago, Maxime still was able to get a very playable position out of this, but in the end Hikaru proved to be simply too strong. And not only did he win the bullet section, but out of the last 8 games, Hikaru won 7, and one ended in a draw. But that's just incredible. So even though Maxime could hold his own in 5+1 and 3+1, when it comes to 1+1, Hikaru simply reigns supreme. Yeah, so that's it for this year's Speed Chess Championship. Hikaru is the overall winner. We'll see what happens in the next one. He crushed everyone, and it was something also interesting in the article. Hikaru said that his part of the bracket was much tougher than Carlsen's part of the bracket, but now that Maxime actually defeated Carlsen and he got into the finals, then it would seem Maxime had the tougher bracket than Hikaru to reach the final. So yeah, once again, I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Do check out the link in the description below that I mentioned, and also as a bonus, I received another voiceover of the Age of Kaisa Chapter 1 from a certain gentleman. So if you guys want to check that out as well, it's really enjoyable. I will put a link to that in the description below as well, while we await Chapter 2 of the Age of Kaisa. So I would like to thank Tishyong Tong, David Kimura, Pranav Singh, Sarang Yoshi, and Richard Wagner for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Morphy saga, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And I might show a game or 2 more from the Speed Chess Championship, but we'll see. See you soon.